Clay McKinney, Developer On-Ramp Introduction to CSS for Developers. This is the section on color. And we need to talk about the color wheel and RGB color. So to start with, I did a search for color wheel and I found one from HGTV. And I wanted to do this one because they're going to talk about color in terms of just sort of generic design and paint and that sort of thing, which is how we all learned it in school. So I wanted to remind you what that's like, right? So you have your little golden book of the color kittens, and they have their bucket of green paint and their bucket of blue paint, and yellow and blue make green, and red and blue make purple, and that sort of thing. So so this is the color wheel they picked. It's Newton's color wheel. They told me so right here. It's an interesting article. You can go read it. Anyway, so these are the primary colors in Newton's color wheel: red, yellow, and blue, right? And a lot of times when people learn to paint, that's exactly the colors they use as their primary colors, and then you mix them together, and you mix red and blue together to get different shades in between. You know, your different purples, and then your red and your yellow mixed together to get your different oranges, and your blues and your yellows mixed together to get your different greens. Okay, so that's how we learn color. That's our first color wheel that we learned in school. Then I want to show you with printers. When they do 4-color printing, they use cyan, which is a kind of blue, magenta, which is sort of reddish, and then yellow, so they got yellow, and black. Cyan, magenta, yellow, and black are the 4 colors that they use in 4-color printing. And I wanted to demonstrate that and show you how it's different from RGB color, which is what we're going to use to create our colors for CSS, for computer screens. Okay, so I opened Photoshop and I did some little demonstrations. Okay, I've got cyan, magenta, and yellow here, and I've got them set up to work like inks. I've set the color style to darken, so that this one will darken that one and this one will darken that one. Okay, and that's how inks work. You start with these really light ink colors, and when you combine them together, they make darker colors. So this is cyan, this is magenta. You combine them together, you get blue. You have this light cyan color, this light yellow color. Combine them together, you get get really bright green. But I would say that green is, well, no, I wouldn't say that. I'm not going to say it. Okay, and then magenta and yellow, when they darken each other, it makes red. So it's interesting, in the paint color wheel, people think of red as a primary color, and blue as a primary color, and yellow as a primary color. But when they switch to printer's inks, then they change the colors quite a bit, and they use these lighter variations. And these are, you know, just perfectly spaced in the light spectrum. And I want to show you when you combine all 3, you get black. So this is a subtractive color model. You get things get kind of darker and darker, and they darken each other to black. Now with cyan, magenta, and yellow ink, they actually add the black ink, because with inks this black doesn't look good. So they add like a flat black to make the black look good. They also they do put a little bit of they also print some cyan, magenta, and yellow on top of that flat black ink to make it richer. So anyway, that's how printer inks work. It's different when you're shining lights at people's eyes, or shining lights on the wall. You get an additive color model. You start with these stronger colors, and when you shine a red light on top of a green light, you get yellow light. I've set these up differently. These I've set to I've set them to lighten instead of darken. So red and green make yellow. That's wild, right? You always think of yellow as a primary color, but in the RGB color model, red and green make yellow. So it's a secondary color. Red and blue make magenta. Green and yellow, sorry, green and blue, that's where the cyan is. Okay, so you have green, cyan, blue, magenta, red, yellow, and look, they all add together and add up to white. They all add together and add up to white. So this is how the RGB color model works. Red, green, and blue are your primary colors. Yellow, cyan, and magenta are your secondary colors. So around the color wheel, it's red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, magenta, back to red. Okay? So it's an additive color wheel. It acts like light shining on the wall, light shining in your eyes. It doesn't act like inks darkening a piece of paper. Where you start with a white sheet of paper and you add them up and you get a black dot on your paper. Instead, you start out with a dark room, and you shine a red light, and you shine a green light, and you shine a blue light, and then you get white light, right? So it's a different way of thinking about color, but it's cool, right? RGB color, it's very cool. So to bring that back to CSS, let's see, what do we have? We've got okay, so if we wanted this green to be red and we wanted to do it in hexadecimal, then we would put a pound sign for the hexadecimal, and then it's red, green, blue. We would turn the red all the way on. I'll do it lowercase, and then we'll turn the others all the way off. So green is all the way off, blue is all the way off. We will save that and find our browser, find our page, and refresh. And now it's red. So that's, excuse me. That's the way that's the way the color wheel works. That's the way you count in hexadecimal, and that's how you make hexadecimal colors. There's a lot more to say though. We're going to talk about hue, saturation, and brightness, and each one of those will get their own video, and we'll start playing with the colors in our style sheet a whole lot more than we have been. All right, thank you.